Alright, so we're going to go through and we're going to do a tutorial here. This is the final tutorial to install Multicraft. And so we're going to kind of try to go through this step by step. Right now what I'm doing is I'm wgetting the file for Multicraft, the tar file. Unfortunately, I did not grab the right one. This is the wrong link, so I'll probably catch that in a second here. I'm doing this as a voiceover this time around. Multicraft recently changed the way that their homepage looks. So you used to be able to right-click the download icon there and just copy the shortcut and paste it in along with wget into Linux, but you can't do that anymore. So right now all that I'm doing is I'm just going through and I'm removing the file that I did download there because I don't need it. And we're going to download the correct file. There's the correct URL. So this VPS that I'm working on right here, this is actually a pretty slow VPS. So we're just going to kind of try to skip ahead here. And you'll see that quite a bit here in this tutorial where we're going to skip ahead. So now what we need to do is we need to untar this file. So we're going to use our handy dandy tar file with a few flags. And we're going to go into the directory. Next part is let's set up Multicraft. And we're going to create the user as Minecraft. And we're going to change the directory to just Minecraft. I think it's a little redundant to put it as Minecraft/Multicraft, though that's going to be up to you. I do enter in a license key here, but I do censor it out. We're going to keep this as daemon1 since this is only the first daemon in our system. We will put the PHP front end on this system because we're only got this one system here. And this part here is going to depend on your Linux distro and what version of Apache you're running, or if you're running Nginx or whatnots. In this case, I'm using the most up-to-date version of Debian, and we're using the most up-to-date version of Apache. So you're going to see this switch to /var/www/html/panel. The reason why I'm putting it into panel is because it's no longer the default directory for Multicraft, so you're not going to have a whole bunch of bots out there hitting your Multicraft panel looking for vulnerabilities, because they're only looking really for the default name. We're going to enable the built-in FTP server, because why not? And we're going to go ahead and run that on the same port or same IP address as the daemon. And we're going to enable the uploading of jars because we want to. Because we want to be able to allow clients and stuff that we do create servers for to be able to upload jar files and plugins. We're going to select the database as MySQL, and we're going to set the database name to daemon and the database user to daemon, and I'm going to create a randomized password. There's several ways that you can do this. I use LastPass to create my passwords. You can choose your own password if you want to. You can pretty much put whatever you want in there, but I do recommend that you make it randomized. So next part here is we're not going to go ahead and install the daemon and panel yet. We're going to go through and we're going to create our databases. If you're following my tutorial, we've already done Apache, we've already done MySQL, and we've already done phpMyAdmin. So we're just going to create a user here. We went to the user tab and we're going to name it daemon. And we're going to go ahead and copy and paste that same password that we used into the password dialog box here. And then we're going to click this button here that says create database with same name and grant all privileges. That's pretty important. We need a database, and it's easier when the user and the database matches up. Though you can put those separately if you needed to. We're also going to create one for the panel, and we're going to kind of use the same process here, but I'm going to use LastPass. You're not going to be able to see this, but I'm generating a randomized password, and I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to put that into a little document I have off to the side just to save it for safekeeping. And then I'm going to put it into the password box over here just by copying and pasting. And again, don't forget to click that Create Database button. Now that we have our daemon and our panel databases, now we can go ahead and jump back into our console screen here. And we're going to go ahead and say, yes, let's go ahead and finish the installation of Multicraft. It's going to spit out a couple things here at you. Nothing really too important in that list. It's just basically saying that the installation is complete. And we did save the file there at the end. Now we're going to go through and we're going to set up Multicraft on the panel. I'm just showing you here that everything passed on my end. If it doesn't pass, if one of these points don't pass, you're going to have to look it up on the Multicraft wiki. I'm not going to cover those. Here we're going to go ahead and enter in our information for MySQL. And first we need to go ahead and enter in the database name, the database username, and then our password that we set up. If you've been following along, you've been copying and pasting off to a side, so that way you can easily put that in. We're going to save and test. It's going to say it's there, but we need to initialize it. So let's go ahead and click initialize. And this can take a little while depending on your VPS or server that you're running. Usually it happens pretty instantaneously, but for this VPS it does take a little while. It's not the best VPS in the world. Here I'm just kind of showing you here that the database is being created. It is being initialized, so it is creating all the tables and the entries, but it's just taking a while for the panel to go through and finish its operation. There we go. Panel says I'm good to go now. Now we need to go ahead and log in with our default administrative username and password, which is just admin. Database was set up complete is for the panel, and let's go ahead and click continue, and now we're going to go into the daemon part. It's pretty much the same process here. I do misspell something in here, and it will throw a little bit of an error at me. Yeah, see there? Threw a little bit of an error at me. That's easy. Daemon's easy to misspell, and that's probably what happened. But if first you don't succeed, just continue on and try it again. Sometimes it's just a misspell or misclick. Again, we need to initialize the database even though it detected it. This is just Multicraft's default behavior. If it detects a database and there's no entries, it'll ask you to initialize it, and then it'll go through and create those entries for you. And there we go, daemon is done. And we're just going to go ahead and continue on here. Here's where we're going to fill out all of our information for the server. I'm going to put in my email address here. And we're going to go ahead and enable the API, just because it's going to be a little bit better. You can restrict the API to 127.0.0.1, which is going to be localhost, but we're just going to leave that open for now. We're also going to input a daemon connections password in here. This is just make your system a little bit more secure. We're going to use the same password that we used for the daemon database. This right here, this is wrong. This is not dynamic, because if you remember, we installed Multicraft just into Minecraft, not Minecraft/Multicraft. And since we're already in the Minecraft folder, all we need to do is we need to initialize it from ./bin/multicraft-v start. -v flag to start Multicraft is just basically giving you some verbose information. If Multicraft failed to start, it's going to give you a little bit more information than normally. I didn't show this in the video, but I did edit my multicraft.com file to display the memory. And that's what you're seeing there. And I also changed the name of it to Alpha, though it does continue to have the ID 1. Don't forget to click that refresh button there, and then that'll allow you to click the continue button. And again, don't forget to delete the install.php file, and that's going to be in your var www directory. So now we need to go through, we need to update our Minecraft here just to make sure that everything is working correctly. And you're going to have to do this twice. This is just the default behavior for Multicraft. It's a little silly like that because it downloads both files at the same time. If you're doing it the way that I'm doing it. You could download the Minecraft server jar conf first and then download the Minecraft server jar. And it would probably be a little bit quicker that way, but I'm a little lazy and I don't want to provide myself more button clicks. I just click things twice. And always make sure to go through and test your server. So just create a little test server here. And make sure to always assign it to yourself. And default everything is fine. And I put a gig in here, but the default is gig anyways. And make sure you always select owner selectable jar. Right here, we're going to go over standout host. His Git repository is amazing if you're wanting to set up one-click installs for factions, or well, not factions, but things like mod packs and other things that you would be able to run through Multicraft. So as you saw there, I went ahead and I just kind of copied the URL from the raw for the prepare.sh in that GitHub. And now we're in the bin directory, and we're going to go ahead and move our normal prepare.sh over to prepare.sh.backup because we always need to make sure that we have a backup of everything. And we're going to move the file that we did download into prepare.sh. And we need to make sure that we give that executable permissions. Here we're just going to go ahead and go through the document real quick. Basically, it's an else and if document. It's all bash. This runs every time that a server is created, and it just looks for specific jar file selections. If it does, it goes through and runs the appropriated commands. Right here, this is all the .jar.conf files. We need these in order to make everything run. So we're going to go ahead and get these through kind of a simple little process here. We're just going to download the entire GitHub repository. And because I'm a little paranoid when I unzip things, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a folder called master. You don't have to do this because it looks like that it unzips correctly, but not all zips unzip correctly. So it's good practice to just make yourself a folder, move the zip into it, and then unzip it. Just to make sure you're not throwing things all over the place. And we're going to have to go through a couple different folders here just to get to our jars. But there's all of our bash files, our conf files, and the folders that we need. We're going to use the copy-paste command with the -R, which means that it's going to be recursive, /star, so that way we grab everything. And then we're going to put all that into our jar directory inside of Minecraft. I'm also going to copy over the scripts here. This isn't needed, but there is some nice little scripts in his repository. So I always copy them over for just looking at them or basing an operation. And here we're just going to show you the API folder real fast. You don't need this, but it's nice to look at and get an idea of how everything's put together. And there's all of our files. Next part about this is we need the zip files for all of our mod packs. So there's a nice repository online for a lot of mod packs to kind of get you started off with. And we're going to use a flag here, well, a couple flags. And we're going to tell wget to kind of grab things on a wildcard. You can't normally do this with a lot of websites because they don't index their files. This one does happen to be indexed, and as you can see here, we can grab .sh files or .tar files, but we want the zip files, because that's all that's on this repository is zip files. You'll have to go through and download the Mumble stuff and the Ticket stuff and any of the Steam stuff separately. This might take you a little while to completely download. It took me quite a while, but that was because this VPS isn't the greatest. So we're just going to skip ahead. As we can see here, all the files are now downloaded. But the way that the wget works when you're downloading something on a wildcard like that is it's going to download it and put it into folders. And the top level folder is going to be pulp.soh.re. As normal, that's just the URL of the website, and that's just the top URL. So we're going to have to go through several layers of folders here just to be able to get to where we need to go. As we can see there, underneath pocketmine.far.conf, you see the pulp.so.re. And there's all our files. And we're not going to use the copy-paste command this time around, we're going to use the move command, because we're not going to keep these files around as a backup or anything, because we don't need to. So we're going to go ahead and just copy this entire thing using /star into our jar directory, making sure that we put in that leading slash there to say that make sure that you put it into the directory. Linux can be a little goofy if you don't put that leading slash in. Then we're going to remove that folder using the -rf command, which means recursively force. Linux likes to throw little fits if you try to remove a folder. This just makes it easier. And there's all of our zip, comp files, bash files, folders that we're going to need to do everything. We're going to go ahead and change the owner of all these files as well, and for make sure that they're underneath the Minecraft username, since they're underneath the Minecraft folder, and Minecraft needs to be able to launch everything. Now we're going to go ahead and start this back up. As we can see, it's all the way started back up. And we need to start our server real quick just to make sure everything's running. And right now it's running on the default jar. But as we can see here, we need to accept the EULA. Multicraft comes with a really nice function here for an inbuilt FTP system. And we're just going to use that to edit this file. I wouldn't suggest using this system to edit your YAML files. I'd suggest an external editor. But for things like .txt files or editing the EULA, this is perfect. And as we can see here, it's starting up the server now. Minecraft always looks like it's erroring the heck out, but actually it's just creating files and saying that those files aren't there, I need to create them. And now it's generating the world. And there we go. Make sure you always test at least a vanilla server just to make sure everything's working correctly. But now we need to go through and we need to test for one of our mod packs here. So we're going to go test out a mod pack. But first we need to go see if we made sure that all the directories are being created successfully. And it is. It's creating a directory called vanilla, where it's going to house most of our information for vanilla. Our prepare.sh file, what it does is it creates a folder for each type of mod pack or server installation to make things really modular. So that way it's up to your clients to be able to update when they want to update, especially with mod packs. And this is also going to create a folder called Ultimate for Feed the Beast Ultimate. And that means it's modular again. But as this goes through, I need to go through something called the user agent, which is in the multicraft.conf. I didn't show editing the multicraft.conf because I believe it's pretty self-explanatory. But in order for the prepare.sh file to work, you need to enable the user agent. And you need to tell the user agent to use the file prepare.sh. You don't need to give it a direct path, it's just prepare.sh. There's also a lot of other options in the multicraft.conf that's always important to kind of go over. I would go ahead and leave at least any of the IP settings alone, especially if you're installing the PHP front end and the daemon on the same machine. And there we go. So that's pretty much it for the Multicraft tutorial on how to install all this stuff. And as we can see there, it did create the folder and it did upload everything correctly. And thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me an email at stuntman@misfithosting.com.